at Absa Investments. A very good afternoon, Lindile.
Good afternoon, Tammy, and good afternoon to the listeners as well.
So let's go straight into it with an overview of the latest performances in both global and local markets.
So, in terms of market performance, we are seeing a bit of mixed bags here. So, Asian markets were a bit mixed. Then, if you head over to Europe, those European stocks are down, both looking at the Stocks 50 and the UK FTSE 100. And then, looking at the US markets, we are seeing that the US markets have opened slightly flat so far. Then bringing it back to our local markets, the all share is slightly rebounding from the losses we saw yesterday. However, it's up by 0.1%. We are seeing that this is being driven by financials and industrials, whilst you are seeing resources falling for a second consecutive day. And then looking at the rand, it is slightly weaker today at around 17 rand 40 to the dollar. And that is on the back of a stronger dollar as well. And then also looking at commodities such as gold, seeing a bit of profit taking there, and that also being exacerbated by the stronger dollar as well. So it's trading somewhere close to the 4,000 per ounce level as well.
Let's look at some results now. We see the Foschini Group, they released their trading update and trading statement for the first half of the year, or the first half ended 30th of September 2025. Now, they reported an increase in group sales by about 12% and expecting EPS earnings to decline. Could you highlight for us some of the key takeaways from those results, as well as what it is that led to that performance?
Yes, so in terms of TFG and the retailers overall, they have been struggling since the start of the year, and certainly seeing that in these results as well. Albeit you're seeing sales growing, we are seeing that the company has guided for earnings per share to decline, and this is on the back of the company posting lower margins. They still expect the environment and consumer confidence to remain quite depressed as well. So that does affect sales, and they're expecting this across all of the major regions that they're operating in. So looking at the Africa region, looking at London and Australia, all of those regions are currently having some difficult operating conditions. I think what the markets didn't like, because what they did react negatively to this update with the share price, it fell about 16% yesterday. What markets didn't like is in a period where some of the competitors were gaining a bit of market share, we didn't see as much market share gains looking at TFG as well. And then we are seeing higher financing costs, and that is due to the company acquiring a company in the UK called White Stuff. So we are seeing that sort of leading to an increase in finance cost. And then if you're looking at some of the results, excluding that acquisition in the UK, you are seeing that sales are more or less flat. So markets not really convinced by the growth if you exclude some of those acquisitions as well. So as I mentioned, markets were reacting negatively to that, and year to date, in line with peers, it has been under a bit of pressure from a share price perspective.
And what other economic releases are the markets expecting this week?
Yes, so I think there was quite a few. Just to touch on what we saw today, perhaps, we did see locally the inflation figure coming out from the Stats SA. It came in at around 3.4%, so increasing slightly from the 3.3% that we saw in August. However, still coming in below what markets had anticipated. Markets were expecting the figure to come around 3.5%. And then looking at core inflation as well, that coming in at 3.2%, so more or less in line with what markets had expected. And then some of the key things that we'll be looking at this week is following the delay of the publishing of the US inflation figures. We are expecting that on Friday. Markets are expecting that to come in higher at around 3.1%. And if we see that coming in higher than what markets had anticipated, there will be less expectation for the US Fed to cut rates as well. And then looking at some of the other things that we are expecting, we'll continue to monitor the US earnings season as more and more companies release as well.
Lindile Malgas, thank you so much for today's update.
Thanks, Tammy.
All right, we'll see you again same time next week. That's Lindile Malgas, investment strategist at Absa Investments.
Thanks, bye.
Have a great one. Thanks, Lindile. He takes us to exactly 4:56.
Africa in business.